Доброго дня!
Добрый день!
Hello!
Guten Tag! Shalom!
President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, signed a decree according to which 2016 is declared as Year of English Language in Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, пані та панове, let's speak English!
Whoa, I know a lot of English words. Hello, bye, email, I love you.
I know a lot of Hebrew words. Why?
Because it's a world's language. It's spoken today in Britain, the Americas, Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and some of the islands of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. It's the language of science and computer technologies.
And it's year of William Shakespeare.
Whoa, Shakespeare, Romeo, where are you?
He died 400 years ago.
My Romeo?
No, William Shakespeare. And this year we're celebrating 400 years of his legacy. So, he's the greatest playwright in the world. He wrote 39 plays and 154 sonnets.
Shakespeare. Everyone is talking about him nowadays. He is boring.
He's a genius.
He is old. He lived more than 400 years ago.
Modern English begins from Shakespeare. He had the largest vocabulary of any English writer and was a great inventor of words and expressions. He created about 2,000 words and a large number of expressions which are now a part of everyday English.
I don't believe you.
I can show you. What is this?
Don't touch it. It's mine.
Luggage, belongings are words invented by Will Shakespeare. Fashionable, manager, eyeball, so-so are also his words.
Can you speak English?
Yes.
Do you know anything about William Shakespeare?
He lived in London.
All the world a stage.
All the world a stage, and all the men and women merely plays. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Then, the whining schoolboy with his satchel, and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwillingly to school. And then the lover, signed like furnace with woeful ballad, made to his mistress eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, beaten like the party, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, and fear round belly with good cap on lines, with eye severe, and beat or formal cut, full of eye souls and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and sleepless pantaloons, with spectacles and nose, and punch inside. His useful horse well saved, a word to write for his frank shed, and his big manly voice turning again towards childish triple pipes and whistles in his sound. The last end of all that ends his strange eventful history, the second childishness, and mere oblivion. Sun's eyes, sun's teeth, sun's taste, sun's everything. All the world a stage.
Let's go back to the 16th century England, the age of Queen Elizabeth I. Shakespeare was was born on the 23rd of April in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon. His families were quite big at that time. William had 7 brothers and sisters. His parents were poor. His father was a successful businessman who bought and sold leather and wool. William went to a grammar school. He learned Latin and studied the literature of ancient Rome.
When William was 18, he married and in love with Anne Hathaway, the daughter of the farmer. She was 8 years older than him. They got married, and 6 months later, their first daughter Susanna was born. Soon they had twins, Hannah and Judith. Little is known about the next 7 years of his life. We don't know why he gave up a good job of his father's and moved to London.
Legend says that he first made the living by holding horses outside the theatre for playgoers who had no servants. Then he joined James Burgage's company, which was one of the leading groups. And we know that in 1592 he wrote his first play.
The Globe Theatre was in the center of London, on the bank of the River Thames. It was round and had no roof over the center, like the theatres of ancient Rome. The people of London loved going to the theatre. The Globe could hold 3,000 people. Some people sat to watch plays, and some people stood in the middle, in the front of stage. The audience were usually noisy, often clapping and cheering and shouting to the actors, and there were only actors, no actresses. Young boys played the parts of women.
What kind of plays did William Shakespeare write? Well, he wrote 39 plays. Some of them are stories from English history. For example, the stories of kings of England. They are very patriotic. The Queen Elizabeth I, who often went to see them. Some of them are comedies. For example, A Midsummer Night's Dream and A Comedy of Errors. They have happy endings.
Two households both alike in dignity. In fair Verona, where we lie our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny. Where seal blood makes seal hands unclean.
One day, the capitalists decided to throw a big party to introduce their daughter Juliet to a rich nobleman. Romeo, the son of Montag family, was also planning to go to that party. Romeo and Juliet meet each other and they fell in love at first sight. Romeo hides in the garden and talks to Juliet when she appears in the garden. They decide that they're meant to be together and want to get married.
A gloom and peace this morning visit brings. The sun, for sorrow, will not show his head. Go hence, to have no talk of these sad scenes. Some shall be pardoned, and some punished. There never was a story of more than that of Juliet and her Romeo. How much more does beauty beauteous seem?
Half of his sonnets was addressed to a married woman, so-called dark lady. Another part of the sonnets was addressed to a young man. Nobody knows the identity of those two people. The language of sonnets is the language of love, no matter if it's going to be on Russian, Ukrainian, English, or Hebrew.
When my love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her,
though I know she lies. That she might increase up unto the deuce, and learn in the world's false subtleties. Thus, when we think in me that she thinks me young, although she knows my days are past the best, simply I credit her false speaking tongue, on both sides, thus a simple truth suppressed. But wherefore, says she not, she is unjust, and wherefore say not I, that I am old, all our best habit is in seeming trust, and age in love loves not to have years told. Therefore, I lie with her, and she with me, and in our faults by lies, with let it be. The wheel is come full circle.
William Shakespeare was born more than 400 years ago, but his plays are still performed for many years to come. Actually, as creator, he lives in his works. He lives on stage in his plays. So, he is our contemporary. Shakespeare lives.
Ребята, кто